Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Pickups. This one is for August of 2022. As you can see, the first thing that I found this month was a copy of Pokemon Diamond on the DS. Now, I don't really care for Pokemon myself, I just have Pokemon Moon on the 3DS as the only main series game in my collection. This one was bought to be resold to afford other games for my collection. I bought it for 100 krona and I've already put it up for sale for 300. It is complete and in very nice condition. Next up was this really cool Pong console called the Gammatic 7706. I bought it for 200 krona and I really wanted it for next September because that is when the very first home console turns 50, the Magnavox Odyssey. Now that console is really expensive nowadays. A working one of those can cost more than a cheap car. I bought it as untested because the owner did not have a power supply. I thought I could just go find a power supply that would work with it. I found the power supply of my Super Nintendo. The specifications said that it should work. It had way too many amps than this thing needs, but it doesn't matter if there's too many amps normally. So I plugged it in and it did work, but it was very loose in the port as it's not quite the right size. So it would often disconnect the power just by breathing wrong. Anyway, it worked all until suddenly something said pop and was coming smoke out of this thing. I don't think I've ever turned something off quicker before and rushed outside to put it on the ground in case it suddenly set on fire or something. Luckily it didn't, I still have it. My dad works selling and repairing TVs and radios, so he can probably fix that whatever inside exploded, because it's probably just a standard part, and then find a power supply which isn't so loose. I think the reason something happened was because it was so loose up there. It kept disconnecting and reconnecting the power constantly. I hope I can save it till next December because I really want to make a video about Pong consoles in the month that they turn 50. Next up is this NES lot that is so large that I have to walk around with the camera instead of putting it on a stand like before. And there was this console with one controller and the cables. For some reason I can't get it to output RF even if I switch the cable out, but luckily it does work with the RCA cables on the side. There was 8 games with it: Adventures in the Magic Kingdom, The Jungle Book, Mark Rider and Shadow Warriors, that is Ninja Gaiden 1 for you Americans, Mario 1, 2 and 3, and then a football game which surprisingly is the most valuable game here. You wouldn't really think that when you're seeing the Mario games and Shadow Warriors and such, that this would be the most valuable one, but it is. I got it all for 1,100. It was initially 1,000, but it's a little long away to pick up, so I had to pay my mom a bit to drive me there, which was okay because the value here is about 5,000. So I'm good with that. But not only this, every single game had its manual, except for Shadow Warriors and the console itself. As you can see here, this one was Spanish, so they had included a home printed Danish manual for it. And the same thing with Tecmo Cup, except there isn't a Danish manual for it, only Spanish. The rest are the standard Scandinavian manuals. But not only the games and the manuals, it's all complete in box, which I'm lost for words. The guy that I got this from, his parents for some reason decided to keep all the boxes back in the day. So he had all of these boxes, and a lot of them, like the box for the console itself, look basically brand new. Like, look at these corners, there's barely any damage to them. Some are more damaged than others, like the Mario 2 box for example. That's split right there, it has some bad corners and sides. But overall I'm really happy to have all of these for the games included. I'm gonna have to buy some box protectors for all of these. The 3 that you see here, 2 of them are actually for Super Nintendo and N64 games, which is why these 2 are too thick. And this one is for Game Boy games, which is why it's not tall enough. But I can at least protect some of them a little bit while I get the proper box protectors for them. Here's a tip for all of you out hunting for games. If you ever see something that's way too cheap and you're one of the first people to see the listing, then go out of your way to be able to pick it up, because there is a chance that the seller would rather sell to you because you can pick it up than to some other guy who actually wrote before you just because he wants it shipped, but you can pick it up. It was a bit of a long way to drive over there and get it. That's why I had to pay my mom a bit to drive there. I don't have a driver's license yet, but it was worth it because that meant I got it. He actually got an offer of 1,400 instead of 1,000. From some guy in the other side of the country who probably needed it to be shipped. But he chose me because I was able to pick it up. Also, when I was there, we were chatting a bit about these old games, and he told me that he and his brother, this was actually his older brother's stuff, he and his brother also had an N64, so I'm going to try and ask him at some point if he still has that and if he's willing to sell it, because seeing the condition of all of this, the N64 games are probably also complete, and the console. So that would be really nice to get to. After that NES score, me and my mom decided to try out some of the local thrift stores, and we were looking on Google Maps to see what stores were in the area, and we found some which we went to later. But first we stopped at this one, which we only noticed was there because we stopped at a red light and saw it just to the side. It wasn't a Google Maps, so if we hadn't stopped we wouldn't have gone in there. First there was this game for 25 kroner. I can sell it for about 125, and I don't care for it myself, so this is going to be sold. Next up was something which was for myself. It's this Neo Geo 40th anniversary mini arcade thing with 2 detachable controllers. If you have a mini HDMI cable, you can hook it up to a TV. So I'm trying to get a mini HDMI cable now. Then there was another Xbox 360 game, also for myself, 15 kroner for this one. And then there was this booth which had a lot of awesome stuff. Like there was 2 good Xbox 360 games here, a PS4 game, and then this TV. It's a PlayStation branded TV from about a decade ago. It's a 3D TV, some PS3 games you could play in 3D on this thing. And it could also be used like with split screen, where instead of you getting half the screen, you would get all of the screen. So if you watched from this angle, you could see your stuff, but your buddy could sit over here and see something completely else. All of this was there, but I thought it was a bit too expensive, so I skipped it all. Until my mom pointed out the big obvious sign that I somehow missed that said everything was half off. So I got Cameo here for 25. Same thing with this one, and this one was 60. I didn't really know if I wanted the TV, but I decided to look it up since it was half price, so it was 350 instead of 700. Turns out this TV is worth about 2,000. So even 700 would have been a great price. Now I have had a PlayStation TV before. That was the other one which had a PS2 built in, and I sold that one. And I kinda regret that a little bit because it was really cool. So I don't really know if I want to sell this one. But then again, it might just be because it was a PlayStation 2 TV, and the PlayStation 2 is one of my favorite consoles of all time. I don't care about the PS3 as much. When I went to pay, I found out that the guy who had the booth that where everything was half off, he was actually the guy behind the counter. Not only that, he was the guy who used to own the GameStop store that was nearest me back when GameStop still existed in Scandinavia. Nowadays they closed a few years ago. But that guy who owned that store was the clerk at this store now, and this was his stuff, and he knew what this TV was worth. He knew it, but he still sold it for 350. I don't really get why. I have tested it. It does work, although the 3D glasses was not with it, so can't test the 3D portion. But just really weird. Oh, and before I forget it, everything here ended up being exactly 600 kroner. Exactly. Then I found this for 10 kroner at another store in the area. It is Simpson 13 of the Seasons, or something like that. And the third store and last store we went to, I found this thing, Dancing Stage Fever for 5 kroner. I really like the Dancing Stage games, and there is a whole lot of them. And this was one I didn't have, and it was 5 kroner, so I bought it. It's only the 9th of August right now, and the video is already getting very long, so I think I'm going to split this one up in two. So see you in the next part, and thank you for watching.